In my last video, I shared how to shield yourself from becoming overwhelmed by everything coming at you, how to protect yourself emotionally. Today, I want to talk to you about how to navigate from that place forward. In my video titled Jim Bruton, NDE 10, The Practice in Between 1, from October 22nd, 2020, I talked about the common practice of chasing one more thing. We've all been guilty of it. Educated and trained to decreasingly trust our instincts, we've been domesticated to such a degree that we no longer believe we have the native intelligence just to figure things out. I remember seeing an advertisement on television one time for running shoes for kids, with the cautionary statement to take your child to the doctor to make sure they have the expert medical clearance before play. As if, as the parent, you wouldn't already know whether your kid could play or not, like whether they have asthma or, an allergic reaction to being outside. And then there are the ads for erectile dysfunction that also caution you to visit doctors before, you have sexual activity or enjoy sexual activity to make sure that all your other medications don't create a problem for this medication. The bottom line is it just seems that the subtle messages here are that survival is more important than living. I guess in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we do need to begin with survival. And if that remains stable, we can actually start to think about moving from survival to living, rich with culture, arts, sciences, and of course experiences. But once you've lived, you wonder if it's better to be reduced to survival once more, or just go out with a smile on your face. I think that is the nature of a lot of questions that are being asked right now during the COVID pandemic. The point I'm making here is to always question conventional wisdom. So much of what everyone thinks they know is more than just a few pages of truisms pasted together to form a script for living. Truisms like you can't fight City Hall, you get what you pay for, nice guys finish last, and the apple never falls far from the tree. But truisms are only true in their lack of completion. Take time to think things through, and you'll find that so many exceptions that you wonder how these short-sighted statements became part of our common psyche. Sometimes they're helpful, but only if they point to a resolution. If I were to use a truism for this video, it would be money doesn't buy you happiness. In my video number 10 that I just referred to, I challenged the continual bombardment of needing one more thing to be successful and why it's important to push back on that. We're told that if we spend money to buy one more thing, we will attain our dreams. We will be successful, handsome, or beautiful, more productive, more wealthy, happier, so on. But our closets, desks, and computers pile up with these half-baked promises that never deliver. We're still chasing the one more thing that turned into many. And we're hard-pressed to find anyone else other than those selling the one more thing who have profited. My perspective is, what if you don't need the one more thing? What if you already have everything within you need to be successful? What if you can just figure out how to solve a problem with a minimum of oversight? A truism sounds correct on the surface, but when you scratch that surface, you usually find no actionable intelligence, or actual substance either. You'll find prejudice, incorrect assumptions, fear, and herd mentality. Truisms do not celebrate the individual spirit. Examples of truisms are cliches, dismissive statements said so often that no one questions them because they've pretty much lost all meaning. Platitudes are meant to sound wise and comforting, but they also have no substance. Things like time heals all wounds, and that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So again, question everything. Let me frame it up this way. I promise I'm not trying to sell you one more thing, but I am pushing back against the one more thing sales model. The one more thing model paints a picture of someone struggling to get things done, to make enough to pay the bills, to manage a career and raise kids, not to mention keeping their marriage together. It preaches from across a table, a podium, or a television, or the internet, that this will solve the problem you've had for a long time. And this approach is based on someone telling you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, and usually how much money you have to spend to do it. It's kind of like preaching. What if instead of preaching at you, we turn this into more of a conversation? What if the person barking their canned speech at you just stopped and they saw you as an honest-to-God person? They took their chair out from the opposite end of the table and brought it around to sit next to you. What if instead of telling you to follow these 10 rules, they asked 10 questions instead, revising their pitch from painting the problem generally to the pain that is specifically yours? What if the questions began in a general way, but the specificity of your answers narrow them down, tailoring the solution to you? Isn't that better than trying to homogenize you into one unyielding solution? Here's some examples where the buzz outpaced the reality. A report published by Alcoholism Treatment Quarterly in 2000 reviewed surveys and averaged the data from Alcoholics Anonymous, 1968 through 1996, quite a few years. 81% of newcomers stopped coming in the first month. After 90 days, only 10% remained, and only 5% remained after a year. 27% of AA members stay sober for less than a year. 24% stay sober between 1 and 5 years. And 13% stay sober between 5 and 10 years, with the average length of sobriety being 10 years. Some other latest stats I saw recently were that of the 500,000 Mary Kay consultants in America, only 0.2%, about 1,300, are in pink Cadillacs. Interestingly, when people think of Mary Kay, they probably think more about the car and falsely the income it represents than whether the products are any good or not. Amway is similar. Everyone is so caught up in trying to sign people up under them in order to parasitize their earnings that you never really hear about how good some of the products are. And some of them are good. I'm not using exaggeration to prove my point. These are businesses who have recruited millions of people with the promise that this one more thing will be the next big thing. Whatever your experiences or opinions are of these business models, they were created in different times. The most popular sitcoms from then showed people living normal lives and working normal jobs. Now, shows seem to rarely show anyone working, but instead they're sitting around diners and coffee shops just yammering about nothing. That type of mentality is what you're up against today, whether you're selling or recruiting. And against that tide, not everyone has the personality to pull customers to them and be the stuff of legends. Realtors, they all pull from the same inventory, but some are more successful than others. If everyone is selling the same thing, whether homes, lipstick, or home cleaning products, then their success is based on prospective customers who want to have a relationship with them. And it's as simple as that. In the sea of sameness, it's our individuality that shines. We just need to find that particular thing to do that is uniquely ours. In comparison, if some well-dressed person on stage tells you that to be successful and make the sacrifices you'll have to make, other than time and money you spend listening to what they have to say, let me ask you this. How personally invested are you in becoming their next poster child? This is where asking the hard questions and clear thinking and feeling help. If you can think and feel with less desire and attachment, you have a fighting chance to answer questions that point to truth, rather than beating yourself into submission by the sheer repetition of a mantra based on half-baked truisms. Questions stimulate thought and direction that creates a sense of connection within yourself and people around you. These questions lead to truths, allowing for an inclusive, non-dual appreciation beyond this or that. And this is where we get into moving from linear thought to nonlinear thought. You will fill in the gaps with new experiences, learning as you go. You will eventually speak your truth, the answer to the original question, with your own words and with your own authenticity. No one can speak your truth more authentically than you. This is the investment required to be successful, not in chasing the next big thing, but in becoming it. Have faith in yourself, and you will be who you are meant to be. Just remember, don't let your truisms become your affirmations, and you'll be fine.